Well, we have reached another Saturday, and it's awesome to have you guys here watching. And yes, you've reached Ramsey's live stream, and this week we are celebrating 808 Day. Happy 808 Day. It's the 8th of August if you haven't worked that out yet. If you've just woken up and you just rubbed the sleep out of your eyes and you're just making yourself a coffee, go grab yourself a TR-808 if you've got one lying around it, and bang some sequences into it. Anyway, big warm welcome to everyone else that's here. We'll start off with random pressing buttons. How you going, Darren? Got him with his mouth full again. Beautiful.
I'm doing fine.
How's your week, man?
I'm doing fine, yeah. I've got the fish and chips again, haven't I? So.
Beautiful. All right. I will go next to Andy. How you going, Andy? Nice to see you again. How's your week been?
Oh, nice to see you all as well. Not too bad. I had fish and chips for my lunch, but proper fish and chips. Yeah, I had a I've not really enjoyed it very much. It's been very hot and very sticky, and I felt pretty dreadful. I've taken a leaf out of Darren's book and got some old vinyl out to stick on the side here, just in celebration of 808. So we've got two 808s, Quadrastate and 90, two of my
nicely done.
faves.
Nicely done.
Yeah, so we got those sitting there. Yeah, it's been sort of a quietish week in many ways.
What's your favourite 808 State album?
90.
90, yeah.
That one. For lots of different reasons. That was the album that really got me into 808 State, but actually really turned me on to the whole idea of techno. It was a mate of mine, and I first heard it when I was actually living in Germany, and I thought that is. I mean, I was already aware of the stuff, and I liked other things. I'd got various bits by the Shaman and Baby Ford and things, but it was that 808 State 90. I just loved it, and every now and again I still like sticking that on it. There's not a bad track on it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, beautiful. Well, that is it. That's just us three. And also, we've got these awesome people called chatties, and they're all here. So don't forget to, if you actually are if you are lurking and you haven't jumped into the chat, you've got a couple of options. You can jump into the YouTube chat, which is on I never get it right, that side of me, and you can see yourself there. Or if you're into Discord, and there's a Discord link in the description of the video if you haven't got it, which will take you straight to the server that we use, and that's the live stream chat channel. If you're new to that, though, you've only just joined it, you will have to agree to the rules, and then you'll start to see all the other channel names pop up. But anyway, let's get back to business. What we'll start off with is, instead of doing our normal sort of regular segments at the first, what we'll do is I think we'll have a little look at the 808 side. So I think first we'll just kind of talk about this dude here, Tadao Kikumoto. He's a pretty cool guy. Why is he pretty cool? If you didn't know, he's one of the original designers and developers of the TR-808. And he's been, I don't know if you guys have got access to Roland's articles, but he's been recently interviewed. It's actually a really, really good article about him. He talks about what sort of influenced him and how he kind of designed the 808. It's interesting, that photo too. You can see he's got one built there. It's one of the prototypes, and he's also got the guts of one standing up next to it. But there's a more recent photo of him here. So you can see this is who he is today, I believe. But yeah, there's some interesting stuff that's come out of Roland, and I do recommend, I will put a link in the description in later of the video on how to get to all this stuff. But they talked about the original vision of the 808 and where they wanted to steer away from, and they were saying that the 80s was a very fast moving technology period, and there was digital technology coming out, and there was influences like, for example, they didn't want to put a pulse code modulation or PCM sample-based drum machine together. They actually wanted a proper synthesizer, and I think that was a stroke of genius. Imagine if Roland didn't do that. Imagine if the 808 was a PCM. It would just be nothing like it, wouldn't it? And the fact that it's got actual synthesis voices in it, from an analog synth point of view, was pretty cool. So the other thing I probably should show you guys is if you've never ever seen one of them before, that's what they look like. If you've been living under a rock, you've never seen a TR-808. Some people do forget the original, what they actually do look like. So it's kind of good to refresh your memory because we're going to be talking about these a bit today and just kind of familiarize yourself with the layout of the land there, how you've got the different, the bass drum, snare drum, it's sort of that sort of left to right, and then your sequencer section down the bottom. So interesting anyway. So there's a little quick sort of review of the 808 and yeah. Now, I don't actually own an 808, so if you've come here wanting to listen to an 808, I do apologize, but they're really expensive and I never got to have one from the early days. Anyway, but what I do have is a couple of drum machines which I feel have been directly influenced by the 808. And we'll start off with this one, which is Roland's modern, probably their first modern remake of the 808, and that's TR8. Now the TR8 is a digital drum machine, if you never know, and Roland started making this technology called ACB, or analog circuit behavior, it stands for, where they've physically modeled all the analog circuits of the TR8 and have gone through and programmed these into a bit of a DSP/FPGA sort of digital chip in here. Now, I actually think these things sound amazing. And I also think these are probably one of the better made drum machines by Roland. From a performance point of view, it's actually quite intuitive. And even though they've made subsequent ones to this, I actually don't like as much as I actually like this. So, I don't know, these you can pick up. Andy, you were saying these are actually hard to get now. I thought they were pretty cheap.
I was just looking on Facebook Marketplace and on eBay for second-hand TR8, not the TR8S, just the model that you've got there.
Yeah.
And there were not very many, and the ones that were there, they had held their price pretty well. I mean, they were being sort of sold off around the £299 mark, a year or so ago. And that's about what they're going for, 300 to 4. I mean, the most expensive one was £450. So
Jeez, that's quite a lot.
Yeah, it is, because I think, like, as we said, they've become quite sought after in themselves. A lot of people want that layout. I mean, like myself, I think I really would quite like one of those in here, just for the convenience of it.
Yeah.
I wish I'd got one previously, but I didn't. So
well, let's get to the next one.
I think it might be a little classic in its own right, like you said.
It probably will. I mean, there's a lot of them out there though, so I wouldn't be too worried. You'd probably be able to get your hands on one. This is the next one that I thought I'd show you guys. Now, this was the original drum brute from Arturi. This is not the Impact. This is the original one. Now, I have, I'm going to say something that a few people will probably disagree with, but I actually think this is the better drum brute because this one, it's more an analog synthesis drum machine. So this really does kind of take on the influence of the 808. And it's got a lot of, individual outs on the back, which is really, really handy. Because this was actually made so that you could process these tones into something else. That was its point. It wasn't a groove box, which a lot of people were disappointed with because they thought, it doesn't sound as good as I was hoping. And I reckon it sounds awesome, but a lot of people said it didn't like the sound of it. So they brought the Impact out, which kind of had a bit more processing on the kick drum for a start anyway. But definitely a lot of people did like the Impact. They thought it was a better form factor as well. This is a lot bigger as well. But I actually love this. This is actually a really good drum machine, and it's very analog. So in terms of being, an influenced drum machine from the 808, that's definitely one. And people will probably disagree with me, but I don't care. The other one that I reckon is quite influenced by the 808 is this one. The Volca Beats. And Korg will probably disagree with this, but they'll probably say, it's a mini pops, isn't it? No, it's nothing like a mini pops. There's actually a few tones in this that a very 808-ish. So if you've got that's a cheap analog drum machine. If you got one, mind you though, I will admit the snare on this, it's probably the shittiest sounding snare in the world. But some people like it. So there you go. There's a little bit of show and tell, but not here because I haven't got them plugged in. But you can plug it. I can plug them later if you want. There you go. Andy's got one. Keep holding it up. Keep holding it up.
Where was it up there? Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
It gets plugged in every now and again just to produce a nice deep bass drum to go on it. I don't use it for an awful lot, but I do like it, I have to say. It's one of those, oddly enough, that Volker beats, when I got it, I just thought it doesn't sound that good at all. And I was pairing it up with the Volker bass, and it was just annoying. And oddly enough, the more I use it, and the more I sort of dig it out just to mess about with for a bit of fun, the more I've grown to like it for its silly quirks. Yeah, the snare drum is pretty grotty. If you layer it with the clap, it's okay. But it's just that bass drum, and putting the bass drum underneath other beats is quite a
the bass drum is delicious.
Sort of gives it a lift.
Yeah, the bass drum is delicious.
Yeah, it's just good.
I probably agree with you. I think some of the other sounds out of it aren't as delicious, but the bass drum definitely has its 808 influence in that, definitely for sure. Finn just mentioned that he would probably get a drum brute now that I've mentioned it. No, just because I said Finn, I don't think we should go there. That's very slippery slope. No, it is. It's pretty cool. I should get myself out and do a video on. I have done a small video on the drum brute many years ago where I've just talked about using the individual outs into a mixer and just sort of playing with that. It wasn't a very good video, so don't go watch it. But yeah, they do suffer from the Arturia build quality issues. So I will warn you there. However, it's one of those things. Ken's saying it's hilarious. The thing is, when you put the drum brute side by side with an actual 808, the difference in the kick is so small when it's set so right. Well, there you go. So you've heard from Ken. I actually haven't ever been able to do that because I don't have an 808, but I have heard people have said that, and so there you go. There's some other good examples of analog drum machines that have been influenced, like the you mentioned it, Sergio mentioned the Akai Rhythm Wolf. If Mr. Mac was here, he'd probably agree with you. He's a big Akai Timberwolf or Rhythm Wolf fan. But yeah, anyway, we shall move right along. What we'll do now is, Darren, you haven't said much. I think, do you want to just talk a little bit about your 808 gear? Because you've got a TR8. Are you muted? You're muted. You're muted, buddy.
I can only really say what you said, really. Yeah, the TR8. You can see that there. But,
on the window. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best one that they've done in modern era. I'm not a fan of the TR8S, but it'd be great for playing live. It's got that sort of all with the sliders, really nice. But yeah, I can't really add to what you said about it.
Now, how much have you played with your circuit? Because this was something that I was going to mention, but I thought I'll leave it for you because now you and I both have circuits, and there's Inky in the chat room. She's got a couple of circuits. Now, they do have some 808 sounds in the circuits. Have you heard them? What do you think of those?
They sound quite good, actually. I think when I did a jam with it, I used some of the 808 sounds off it. They're quite nice. They're good.
Decent samples, yeah.
They are decent. I've not played with it recently. I've been too busy doing other stuff, but when I do take it down or whatever, I can pop it on in. I'll go think about it and listen to it. But yeah, the drum sounds are really good on this circuit, actually.
So just while we've got everyone here, when you think about it, right, just have a little look around your studio, and this is to you guys who are in chat as well as whoever's watching this on replay. Just have a little look around your studio, and even have a little look around on your DAW and have a look at how many 808 influence things you have, and you'll start to just about be amazed how many things are out there. I mean, we could talk about Akai MPC-Lives, and all the MPCs really. They've always had 808 sounds in them, as far as I can remember. But yeah, so I mean, that was kind of, we're celebrating 808 Day, so that's kind of the reason for it. All right.
Yeah. The XP has lots of 808s.
Yeah, it does. Well. Yeah. And they are actually what we talked about before, the pulse code modulation samples that Roland started getting into after they finished that sort of 808 stuff. When they got into the 901 and further on, they started getting into those pulse code modulation samples. All right, we shall move along. We've got to run a couple of regular segments, so we'll start off with FunnySide, see if this works. The buttons are starting to become a little bit more reliable now, which is awesome. Now, you have reached the end of the internet where apparently stranger things do happen, and apparently they're not very funny. The first one that I came across, I can't even remember what this one said. So, the awkward moment when you drive your car, Chevy to the levee, and the levee isn't dry, and then someone comments underneath, that's what happens when you drink whiskey and rye. That could have been the day that you died. But yes, I thought it's not really synth related, but it's music related. See, they don't always come from synth places. All right, what's the next one? Oh yes, this was me. I was just getting a little bit annoyed with people saying on my SoundCloud tracks that they're loving the vibes on this track, and there's actually no vibraphone at all on the track. So I just sort of have a little bit of fun with it. Who's been getting slightly, you know, when you've got SoundCloud or you've got some sort of social media version of your track up there and people they're typing away, oh, I love the vibes on your track. I mean, it's nice that they make a comment like that, but that seems to be the most common one. So I thought I'd have a bit of fun with it. Okay, what else we got? Oh, you'll like this one, Andy. You'll like this one.
Yes.
I don't know why anyone hasn't done this yet. I was getting a bit silly during the week, and I just thought, nah,
we already have one.
Got to put Monty Python in this.
It's only a flesh wound.
Now, how would they say that bottom word there? Would they say it correctly? Yes.
I think that's one of my favourite films, actually.
We are the knights that say icky, icky, icky. No, I won't go there. Yes. All right, what about this one? This one was from you, Andy, I think.
I just thought it was the silliest thing I've seen. I mean, what is that all about? Come on.
That was a real ad, wasn't it?
I have no idea. I mean, who would have thought that was going to sell synths? Everybody none needs a synthy. Oh, honestly, I just saw the picture and it must be. I thought it must be a mock-up, except it does have all the right addresses and everything. Weird, just weird.
Someone can tell us if that's actually a real ad or if this is just a meme that's been doctored in Photoshop modernly. But I wouldn't be surprised. EMS did have some pretty kind of crazy, far out sort of ads in the past. All right, what was your favourite meme for the week, Darren?
Well, it's going to have to be the Holy Grail one.
Yes. Andy?
I'm sorry, but driving your Chevy to the levee when the levee just wasn't dry, probably after you've drunk too much whiskey and rye. And because I thought it was just clever. I thought it was just funny.
Yes, I normally that's the thing. The risky ones I put in there aren't from my usual places that I find memes at, but that was one of my family members tagging me in that one. I thought, okay, it's going to go on the show. All right, what should we do next? We should probably talk about some news. Let's do this. Yes, we have a bit of news. Now, I should mention that Zoom have been pretty busy because they've been getting a lot of airplay lately in the news. Someone need to put a pin in their calendar and remember that sort of June, July, August is when Zoom bring out all their products. I don't know. Anyway, this one's just popped up, and I thought, the other one we showed the other week was just as good, but this seems to be more of a portable thing. It's called the Zoom P4. It is a 4-track audio recorder designed for podcasters. Everything seems to be designed for podcasters now. Portable, and lets you, obviously because battery powered, lets you run 2 AA batteries, and they reckon it can last for up to 4 hours. I would love to test that theory. I would love to test that. I've got all the gear here that I could test that. I'm going to do that one day. Anyway, it lets you connect wirelessly to it, which is probably one of the cool things about this. So it does like a Bluetooth connection, so you could have audio coming in that way. And obviously it's 4-channel as well, which is pretty obvious by the amount of connectivities and pots that you've got on the front. Anyway, $300 US. Do we want to watch a video on this? Guys, should we do it? Should we give them a plug?
Your show runs.
I don't even know how good this is going to be. All right. These videos make me laugh.
What up, people? Welcome to Ambiance Podcast. My name is Levi. I'm the host. We have some amazing guests lined up for you today. Why don't you introduce yourself and have your team do the same?
What's good, everybody? My name is Murph. I'm from the Bronx, and I am the designer and creator of Alani Taylor.
Hi, my name is Tyler. I'm a model for Alani Taylor, and I'm from the Bay Area.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is BB, head stylist of Alani Taylor, calling in from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Awesome. Well, Murph, tell us what inspired you to create your clothing brand.
First, my inspiration came from the birth of my daughter.
All right, I think we get the idea. I think that's trying to show that you can use it for podcasts and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think we got the idea. And it just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. But you guys you can guys work it out. Anyway, $300 US. Do you guys think that's good value for money for a 4-port podcast portable recorder? It does multi-track when you record.
I like the look of it compared to the was it the H8, that really weird looking with the app,
the alien thing. Yeah.
I think that looks better design look.
It's a lot smaller.
It looks more sensible,
smaller,
more practical.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot easier to use as well rather than having an app, because once you're tied to an app, that's got to be a pain.
Yes, that's true. That is true. Andy, did you want to say, or should we move on to the next?
I was just thinking, is this a return to the 4-track Porter Studio?
Yeah,
but in digital. I mean, is that what this is? It's just a 4-track recorder.
4-track recorder.
They're always useful. Those of us that grew up with those things will remember them very fondly. And I suppose if you've got to record 4 different inputs separately, it would be a very handy thing. And what, $300 isn't a huge amount. I mean, I think my original 4-track cassette machine cost that much when I bought it way back in when the dinosaurs were still roaming around.
Yeah, I've got my H6, whatever it's called, the recorder. I've shown you guys it before. One of the things that annoys me about it, and they do it on purpose, is they put the little display. The microphone's at one end of the display is kind of beveled down and points down, and that's at the back. But when you're doing podcasting, that's actually where you need it, because that's where you'd have the microphone pointed at your guest. But for me, I'm recording me, not my guest. So I can't see any of the levels or anything like that. And it's one of the things that annoys me about it. You can't flip it around. But you can always just plug an extra mic into it or whatever. But yeah, it's just one of the little annoyances. All right, let's move on to the next one. I don't know. You guys might be interested in this. This one here. This is the new Akai MPK Mini that's been announced. Pretty cool. What can I say about it? Okay, so if you guys have seen the MPK Minis before, this is a Mark III. So this is their 3rd iteration. What's different about this is it's got that nice OLED display you can see sort of up top on the right-hand side there. They've now this is the thing that I want to talk to you guys about. Marketing talk, right? They're saying in this that it's got a 25 key keyboard, but they're claiming it delivers piano key performance. What does that mean? Does that mean this thing is going to feel like the keyboard of a Moog Sub 37 or an original DX7 key? Is that going to be that sort of quality, or is it going to be one of those massive grand piano from Yamaha or something like that?
I defy anybody to play Rachmaninoff on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You might find you might start tapping the table. It does. The other thing I like about it though is it does actually have built-in arpeggiator. It's class compliant, and actually the form factor works on this. It's actually pretty slim in terms of its depth. It does have DAW mode, DAW modes on it, like all the previous models have. And what else can I tell you about it? A price. It is $99 US, which I think is probably the cool thing about it. That is actually really cheap. Is it a key step? Is it a key step? Competitor? No, because it doesn't have half the stuff the key step's got. So it's not really a key step competitor, but it's yeah.
Wagoo's just asked, where's my pitch and mod? Where's my pitch and mod wheels?
You've got that,
or is that?
You've got the giant red nipple.
Red thing. Is that what that is?
That's probably what that is. Well, let's have a look, see if there's a video on it. So yeah, it's got a whole bunch of stuff that comes with it. The sound packs, they're actually free, which is actually a pretty cool thing. So you might just get it purely for that. I don't know if the sound packs are worth $99 US, but yeah. Did anyone catch the back of it? Was there a quick grab of the back of this thing? I think it just had a USB port on the back, didn't it? I don't think they showed the back of it, did they? We might have to have another look at that, because I just wanted to see if there was any other connectivity on the back. It didn't list it on my little spiel thing that I've got here anyway. Any of you guys interested in the MPK Mini Mark III? $99 US?
I don't know. I've got lots of controllers now. I'm getting a bit... it looks all right, actually. It looks quite
Are you feeling a bit controlled, Darren?
Yeah, I've got the Novation Mini Mark III.
Yep.
Push.
Yeah.
Umpteen keyboards.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got an Alessi. This one here.
And you've got
my main one.
And you've got a wife too.
Oh. Exactly. So I'm completely controlled. So I've got that as my keyboard.
Yeah. The Alesis.
It's actually great. I quite like the keys on this. Nice keys.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a keyboard player, so.
That's a bit bigger though than this little MPK, isn't it? So.
Does anybody know what the sound packs are actually like? Are the sound packs any good?
So I've actually used, I don't know these specific ones. I've used the Akai sound packs because I've got an MPC, and they make really, really good sound packs. Really top quality.
Are they derivative from those MPC sound packs? Are they just sample?
I would assume so. Yeah.
And does it come with does this little controller come with that MPC software? If it's all bundled together, so that you can stick it on your computer, open them up straight away. Because I mean, if those sound packs are good, and it all works smoothly on your computer, then for £99, it might be a really, really good way into some quite nice computer-based sounds, which is a good ploy.
The samples that they make are always really top notch. I find the Akai stuff always good quality. Sometimes you get a few dodgy ones, but most of them are really, really good. And usually the free ones are the ones that kind of end up being quite legacy, because the world uses the free stuff before they go out and buy it, don't they? So they end up in more places.
Akai did that for that free drum loop, that drum station thing. The
NPC Beats.
We talked about it a week or so ago, and if they're giving that away free anyway, maybe that comes bundled in, and I don't know. It might be a really good way to get a useful little keyboard with loads of sounds for next to nothing.
And they did talk about that having the 8 pads are actually MPC style pads. So none of us have actually touched one of these, so we can't confirm or deny whether that's true. But you've got to believe them at some point.
It'd be great for traveling, isn't it? If you've got your laptop, one of them. And the sound packs, a bit like Novation do as well with stuff. You get your sound packs. The stuff that you get with it is usually what you want more than the actual product itself. Because you end up
that could be a
possibility in the end, and then just use it.
So Finn in the chat room saying that he downloaded Beats, looked quizzically at it for 5 minutes, and then put it in the bin. Okay, fair enough. Look, MPCs it's either for you or it's not. It's one of those love or hate things. A bit like DAWs. Right.
Inky's made a comment as well about that, so that it's made free MPC software, which has the same synths as the MPC Live. It's cool. So
there you go.
Might be well worth a look.
Good to see Andrew in the chat room. Andrew Mees there. He said, "What? No MIDI pass?" And Andrew, it's USB and it is class compliant. Now, I actually had a conversation with someone in the Akai forum about this the other day because I was looking it up, and literally about 5 minutes later, the post came up, and the guy was saying, "Oh, can I plug this into the back of my MPC Live?" And I went, "Yep, because it's class compliant." You can also plug it into your iPad as well. Okay, let's go to the next one. 1, 2, 3. These things are pretty cool. You guys ever heard of this company called Ladik, Ladik? They're from the Czech Republic, I believe. Look, these guys make a stack of Eurorack modules, and a lot of the Eurorack modules are kind of utility-based, so you'll see things like headphones, stereo lines, EQs, mixers, balance lines, malts, sequential logic modules, a whole bunch of this sort of stuff. Now, why am I showing it? Well, they are only priced around the 40 to $100 sort of mark, these modules. So they're extremely cheap. Now, the reason why I sort of brought this up is because everyone talks about, Behringer, they're innovators. They're bringing Eurorack modules so cheap and no one's done it before. Rubbish. These guys have been doing it for ages. They're not the only ones. We talked about Dreadbox doing the chromatic stuff. And there's a few other people that make Eurorack modules that are very, very well priced. Yeah. I just thought I'd show you guys. Now, I do actually have, I don't have a video, but I do actually have this website that I thought I'd show you, because I was talking before about how many modules there are. It's crazy. Look at this. So I actually had a look at some of these, and just have a look at how many modules there are. This is insane. These guys are busy. So, 2-channel clock works, a burst generator, a resettable divider, a CV8, 2 outputs for some other module, a clock shuffler. Yeah, and it just keeps going. Amplifiers. You can see, and the thing is, I have never ever heard of these guys.
Blimey.
So
they've got more than Deptford.
Yeah, it's insane. So anyway, check them out. Give them a bit of your money. They don't do a video, sorry, and they actually say that they don't do videos. So because they're too busy making modules. I think that's actually pretty good evidence there that they are too busy making modules. But anyway, shall we have a look at one? Let's just pick one random.
What is on those modules there, Ramsey? Did you see any, how much they were charging for them?
Yeah, the prices were actually in this article that I read, but well, it says it's out of stock. I don't want to choose something that's out of stock. There we go. Okay, let's go back to this. So this is a little 3-channel stereo mixer, and it is £50. Not bad.
Decent, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's good.
So that's just one example, and you guys can go check it out. I'll put the link up in the description as usual. You guys can check that out. Now, last but not least, that's all right. We are going to.
The jacks look all right on them as well.
Yes, they actually got the nuts to lock them in, which I thought was good. I actually haven't heard. I was going to try and see if I could get someone from one of the, like Muff Wigglers or Aussie Wigglers or whoever, one of these forums that I'm in, to try and tell me if they've got one and what they're like. And I didn't get a chance because it was kind of busy. But anyway, we shall move on. Now, that is it for news. There was another bit of news. We were going to get Ken on to talk about. He's just messaged me saying that he's not able to make it. But the other bit of news was really, really brief. It was that Hydrasynth, no, it's the wrong one. That one there. Hydrasynth has now got a new firmware update. What we might do is we might see if we can get Ken to come in maybe next Saturday and run us through it, because he's got one of these, and there's a few people in the chat that have got a Hydrasynth. So I definitely think we need to spend some time and give this a bit of love. So if you don't know, it's firmware 1.5, and definitely get yourself the download for that. It's free, I believe. So what we'll do is we'll try and see if we can get Ken. I don't know what his schedule's like next week either, but we'll see what we can do. Never know. Anyway, that's good news. And it's a really big update too. And I don't want to talk any more about it because I don't want to sort of spoil it for the next time we do chat about it. Okay. What have we got next?
Another bit of news, Rans.
Yeah.
There's one more bit of news which we sort of touched on briefly. Those of us that have got Behringer Pro 1s, Behringer have released a firmware update for the Pro 1, which improves the speed of the envelopes. So I always thought the envelopes were pretty snappy anyway, but apparently they're even better. I have not yet successfully managed to install that upgrade, but there are a few videos out there on YouTube from people who have and have done comparisons as to how that now improves the sound of the envelopes. There was a guy called Electric Cafe. He's only got a few subscribers on YouTube at the moment, but he's been doing some really good demos of these bits of gear, and he did a very good comparison of how this firmware update makes the envelopes on the Behringer Pro 1 almost as snappy or just as snappy as the original model, which has got to be a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you go.
No, I was just going to say it's a free update, so if you can get your computer to actually do it, which I wasn't able to.
Beautiful. Well, you need the synth tool to do it. So that's
why I couldn't get to work.
That's the problem. But you can actually you don't actually need the synth tool either. You can do it as a SysX update, I believe. Anyway, speaking of checking out envelopes and just kind of seeing, how they behave. I've actually got you probably can see it if I go to my shot here. You can see my Siglent oscilloscope with me just here, and just got a little GoPro plugged into it. Now I've got the Roland system. So that's actually the electrical signal of the envelope. You can see it's just starting to finish there. So and you can actually go in and check to see how logarithmic the curves are and things like that. And that's this envelope generator here, the two. So the purple and the yellow line with the two. So these two purple cables coming out of that going straight into my oscilloscope. So yeah, I could actually probably do that, Andy, with the Pro 1 pre-update and post-update, and we could actually electrically check out how different those, whether they're snappier or whether they're not.
No, it'll be interesting. If you can get the update to work, I'll make efforts. Yes. If necessary, I'll take the Pro 1 round to somebody who's got a Windows 10 machine, because I think it's to do with the fact that my machine is old.
Or a Mac. Anyone who's got a Mac.
Yeah, and anyone that's got something that works. I'm coming round on Tuesday, Darren. I'm coming round on Tuesday.
Bit of a drive.
Kettle on.
Bit of a drive. All right.
Yeah, 40 minutes.
Let's go to the next segment, because this one is kind of related to our show topic. And I probably might start off with... I can't remember the order of these. All right, let's start off with this one. This one is a bit of a rant. Maybe I should actually play my rant stinger. But yeah, so I was talking to some guys during the week about this. This is my Australian, one of the retailers in Australia selling the Hydrasynth. Now, we were talking about prices. Was it last week? I can't remember now what it was. We were talking about synth prices. And one of the things that annoys me is when you got shops. I think I showed you that photo of the Guitar Center with the Akai Force, and it was like incredibly high. So the thing that annoyed me about this was that so this is Australian dollars, okay? But in Sweetwater in the US, the same synth is, I think, $13.99, somewhere around there. Now, you can do a little bit of a Google. You can, convert US dollars to Australian dollars, and you can, work out the difference. It is nowhere near $26.99. Now, okay, in Australia, we do have a thing called GST, which is a bit like your VAT, Andy. Same thing, except it's not 20%. Ours is only 10%. So if you add 10% onto the Sweetwater price after you've converted it to Australian dollars, it's still nowhere near $26.99. It's about $700-800 Australian cheaper, even if you were to do that. Now, don't forget too, it doesn't have freight, because if you were to buy this from the shop, you have to pay for freight. and just like you would have to pay for freight if you were to buy this from Sweetwater. So there's my first one. Now, when we do our price section, it's not always scams. What do you guys think about that anyway, just out of curiosity? Do you guys have any retailers in the UK that kind of do this sort of price buffering? I know they recently got in trouble for that, didn't they? We talked about the Yamaha, Korg and Roland got fined by the UK government. I think Yamaha settled out of court and then they dobbed Korg and Roland in. It was nice of Yamaha, wasn't it?
Well,
name and shame.
Price was in... Sorry, Darren, go on.
No, I was going to say I can't think of any. A lot of them are like, if you see it cheaper, they'll match it most of the time. So
yeah, yeah. Anyway, well, look, the point is keep an eye on your prices. Don't just take the word of the shop. Definitely not for my case, anyway. The next one is actually another kind of example of this, where it's just more like buyer beware. I love how they spelt Behringer, but they've actually spelt it right the next time. They spelled it Behringer. Is that? I don't know. I don't even know what they're doing there. Anyway, this is from Japan, so it could be a translation thing. But yes, if you are buying a Poly D, how much are Poly Ds? They're not. There's definitely not $1,300 US, are they?
They're about 600, 599.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
UK pounds. So
is this one new or is it? No, it's secondhand. So this is not even a new one. So Behringer. I'm on Sweetwater site because I don't usually use Sweetwater. Poly D. There we go. Just to get the US dollars. It is $698 from Sweetwater. Now they are saying
same in pounds.
Same in pounds. They are saying that the MSRP is $1,048.50. I don't know how they work that out. I think it's probably just an algorithm on their website that bodges that. But anyway, that's a good one. So don't buy that. Andy, was this one yours? Oberheim OB12?
Yes. Oh, yes. Anybody remember those things?
Yeah, I do.
I saw this on Facebook.
They're digital, weren't they?
A week or so ago.
Those things were digital, weren't they? Yeah.
We had one of those in Chillage People. I'd bought the Supernova, and my mate Rupert had bought the OB12, and we sort of swapped and changed a little bit, moving around who was using which keyboard at which time and various things. I never got on with that thing at all. I never liked the sound of it, and in spite of it being covered in buttons and sliders, I could never really quite get it to do what I wanted to. So I didn't have a very good experience with it, and I never thought it sounded very good. It certainly, to my ears, didn't sound anything like what we would expect an Oberheim to sound like. And I just thought the price, 850 quid, was high. I mean, it was.
Oh, it's definitely high.
It was around that when it was new, and I wouldn't have thought you'd be wanting to pay much more than £400 for one of those. I mean, I remember it being solid and heavy.
Yeah.
But I don't remember it being much fun to actually use. So
on a positive,
that's why I just thought.
So on a positive note, they have a really nice keyboard, and you've also got that little ribbon controller thing underneath the two mod wheels there, which is pretty cool. And you can actually use it as a MIDI keyboard as well. But the thing that a lot of people didn't like, it's also
not really an Oberheim. It's
not an Oberheim. It was digital. It was really badly
made in Italy by Viscount.
Yeah, it was a really bad digital as well. It wasn't a good digital, so it had bad samples or bad PCMs or what do you want to call it in there.
It was all analog modelling. It was all analog modelling, and it didn't work. I mean, to my ears, it never sounded anything like as smooth or as convincing as the Supernova, which we had at the same time and side by side. But I mean, it's probably a perfectly usable and decent synth in its own right, if you're happy with the way it sounds. But I thought 850 quid was just too high for that. But people are free to disagree.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is that it was quite a bit after the Oberheim sort of they kind of flopped a bit, didn't they? And then they stopped making those analog gears. Yeah, so it was kind of a bit of a train wreck. All right, let's keep going. What is the next one we have? What was that one? So this is drum machine related.
Yeah, I think that was mine as well, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is another Oberheim, but this is actually a good Oberheim. This one, the DX. Actually, wasn't that Blue Monday? Wasn't it Blue Monday?
Blue Monday.
Yeah.
New Orders recordings and some of the Human League stuff, the DX and Dead or Alive and all sorts. Those sounds are on there, but again, £1,400 is a lot of money for what is a really very limited drum machine.
Right.
You'd have to desperately on that, or be an avid collector to be justifying spending £1,400 on a DX. I think so, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Like you say, you've only got like bass, snare, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possible sounds on it, and you're paying over 1.5, aren't you?
Yeah. There are variations. You can swap out. You can swap out the EEPROMs on the inside. I think there was even a machine which allowed you to burn your own EEPROMs and put them in if you were that desperate. But it's a very, very long-winded way.
Very long-winded process to change the samples in it. But look, the thing is if you really wanted that sound, this is one of those arguments. And £1,400 may actually be, you might be prepared for it. Now, that's actually the perfect segue because topically, we are actually talking about this baby this week, aren't we? And there is an actual reverb listing. I don't even know if it was the most expensive. I just need to convert that for you guys. Sorry. To GBP, it's called on Google. £4,489. That is. For a shipping? TRA, yes, 500 Australian dollars or 200. You might as well say it's £300 shipping. They'd probably have to be careful with shipping on something. So I don't know if it's 500 Australian dollars shipping though. I've shipped stuff and it hasn't cost me anywhere near that. So the shipping's probably a bit of a lend as well. Anyway, £4,500 for a TR-808. Now the question I want to ask everyone here, and that is, would you buy a TR-808 if it cost you? Well, let's get it in US because we do have a few US people as well. So £4,500 or $5,800 Would you buy a TR-808? There's a good question. Let us know in chat. In fact, let's see what they say. Azia said no. Michael Elliott saying criminal. Why is it criminal? Is it just sad that that's how much 808s are? What were they originally? What did Roland sell them in US dollars originally?
It was about £900.
It was like 800, about 800, 900 pounds or something, isn't it? Yeah. Ozio is saying he'd gladly use the samples. So this is the thing. This is why you have things like Arturia drum root. You have the Volca, Volca beats. You have samples in your Akai MPCs and your Novation circuits. You have the next thing that I was going to show you guys. I don't know if I've got it here. The RC. Have you guys heard of the RC808? Bit of a rude word. Sounds like I'm saying something rude. RC808. No, it's not a rude thing. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Here we are. Yeah, this is a website called what's the website called? rc-808.com. Gee, that was hard to work out, wasn't it, Rans? Oh, you idiot. Anyway, so the guys that built this website they have recreated the 808 into a downloadable standalone or VST type machine that you can use on your computer. And I've had like 5 minutes to play with it, but basically I can tell you a little bit about it. What it does is it emulates the original TR-808 sound with analog manner synthesis. Okay, as the name implies, it is respect to the original 808 sounds with its creation for sound synthesis as a vintage. Starting from its criterion, explore the multiverse of sounds, stretch out your vectors and find new criterion of your own. So you can kind of like modify the original 808 sounds. So it's not a drum machine, but it is a drum synthesizer. So this actually might be something you guys might find interesting. It works on Mac and Windows. There is no samples, no effects, processing, nothing. It's just genuine synthesis only, and it's all in an analog manner. It's obviously digital because it's a computer program. So the sound source employs a DCO, which is not a digital controlled oscillator. It's actually a down chirp oscillator. There you go. I've never ever heard of that acronym before. Down chirp oscillator. And just so you guys know, if you're not following my Australian accent, that's how it's spelt. Down chirp oscillator, combined with noise source that outputs various kinds of noises, including metallic noises. And there's also an infinite point wave shaper for variable filter banks, infinite point envelope generators with a maximum of 8 partials per voice. So this thing's pretty deep, and you can get yourself into subtractive synthesis and go kind of crazy. Now, they are saying it's a flexible architecture, so it does have open and close variations, things on hi-hats and cymbals for choke performance. You've got piano roll sequencer in there. The sequencer is a separate app. But we can actually have a look at a little video if you guys want to. I don't know how good the video is going to be. Let's load it up. So we'll have a look at the vintage kit. All right, let's just grab this. Sorry, I actually do have to copy this link in and create a... Just give me 1 sec, guys. Give me 1 sec. I actually wasn't really going to show you guys this, but I think it's worth it because it is 808 Day. All right, here we go. Let's check out the video. So there's a bit of a video on that. Now, this is created by these guys. And why I'm showing you is this actually came out of the Roland article. These guys are called the Analog Mafia. From left to right, you've got Junichi Kadoya. I'm going to butcher these names.
You're brave, Rans.
I apologize in advance. Hisanori Matsuakawa. Anyway, a whole bunch of cool guys, and obviously there is the original TR-808 guy in there. Cool. The Mr. Kikamoto, he's actually in there. So that might be why that might be worth you guys checking out, because you've got the original 808 engineer involved in that project. Anyway, what did you guys think of that? That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I quite like that, actually.
So you don't have to go and buy a 8,000 Australian dollars or whatever it was, 6,000 US dollar TR-808 vintage machine. I didn't keep an eye on the chat, see what these guys were saying. But,
can I just mention at this point then, seeing as you've mentioned software recreation, I'd like to mention something that Inky mentioned ages ago in the chat, and that's Rebirth. Propellerhead's Rebirth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, decades and decades ago.
Yeah.
And what a great piece of software that was. What a great piece of software that was. And it just sounded...
It did sound good.
Hours of time on that.
Yeah, it did sound good, didn't it?
808 and two 303s, and it just sounded fantastic. I mean, can you make it work now as a VST plugin, so you can make it work within Cubase and another digital audio workstation?
All right, so maybe we should go to this, because Wigoo's made the point that I was actually going to make anyway, and that is that the main thing about the RC808 website and the software is it's actually the original Roland engineers who designed it, which I mentioned before. But what's cool about it is they got to do with this software what they could never actually do with the hardware originally back in the 80s, because technology wasn't there. They had the idea, but they didn't have the technology to do it. So that might actually be enough to wet your whistle to go and check that out.
That makes it worthy. That actually makes it more worthy than perhaps just the program might have originally seemed. If you've got the original 808 designer who's putting his half penneth into making this software into what he wanted the machine to be in the first place, actually that makes it even more interesting.
Yeah,
so I'm glad you pointed that out, Rans. Thank you for doing so.
And don't forget, I also mentioned that it's a VST or a standalone. So you could actually run this on like a Microsoft Surface. You could run it on a any DAW if you've got Logic, or if you've got Pro Tools or Ableton Live or Cubase. It'll work on all of those, Mac and Windows as well. So these guys have gone out there and done it. It's been around for a while, I believe, too. So it's had a few
Is there a price
updates. On it? It's free. Completely free.
Oh, right. Well, that's a no-brainer then, isn't it?
Yeah. I didn't.
Can you stick a link in the description at the end, Rans?
Yep.
The show notes.
I will. Definitely do that. But whilst we've got the show running, I can just do this. You guys can check it out there.
I'll tell you something else that's been around for a long time. I'm not saying it's a drum machine, and I think up until now they're still making them, or at least they was. I'm not saying they're brilliant, but they seem to have been around a long, long time, and they seem to be still on the shelf.
I know what you're going to say, Darren. Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen that before.
Yep.
Yes.
I knew that was coming. But it's true, you can still buy them new, and they were released in about 1992, was it came out, or even earlier perhaps. They've been around a long, long time, those machines.
Yeah, they've been around for a while. That isn't the predecessor of that one. Is it the HS 16? Or
the HR 16. There was a HR 16B.
Famously,
actually,
famously used by
Espen
Depeche
Kraft's
Mode.
just done a video on it.
There's a famous
Espen Kraft
sound.
did a video on him.
So everyone, if you ever ask anyone who likes Depeche Mode, they will say that Violator was one of the best albums, blah blah blah. Because basically it was like emulator and samples galore and that, and they used one of those Alesis drum machines in there, which was cool.
But like I say, I mean, you could say that's become a classic. I mean, I can't believe that they still actually can still get them. Whereas like the Roland 808, I mean, that came out for a few years and then it's pretty much
what was that?
Disappeared. And that's still.
It was a flop in terms of sales. If you ever read any article that Roland ever put out, it was taken off the shelves because it didn't sell. And it's actually quite like, if you think about it, Roland do this all the time. So we were talking about the IRA Eurorack modules before, which I've got the Scooper one here. They were only on the shelves for 2 years at the most. That's a very short period for them to be out. They didn't even get a chance to probably get them in stores long enough. They just literally pulled those off. Maybe they weren't making money. Maybe they were too expensive to make. I don't know. But they do. Roland do this. So, that's what they do.
So why is that SR16 still, still available?
Well, the thing with the SR16 is you can just get the samples. I mean, you don't really need the machine because it's all samples anyway. But it is the thing, isn't it? It's about using that little box. It's that,
It was cheap. It was easy to use, and it sounded good.
Yep.
And I think that's it, really.
Yeah. Well, speaking about
that
being it, Darren, before you talk anymore, we are going to snap off the main show, and don't go anywhere because we've got the post show coming up. And I'm not talking about Postman Pat being on it or anything like that. End titles. Let's say goodbye to everyone who's watching this on replay, but don't go anywhere if you're watching this live because we'll be right back.
It's gone quick.
You've just missed something.